Here we go. We are pushing on, and this lesson is all about our short stories essay. So as you can see, I have my draft opened here. Now this document, this is our short stories support document, or we could call it a data tracker. It's available under week 4 in our content section on VIU Learn. So if you haven't been using this up to now, I really recommend using this template because it's a great way to organize your ideas and to look at the sections. Okay, so you can see that we're doing our short story essay, and I've indicated that I put in my name as a student here, and I just quickly reread my purpose. From the beginning, it just reminds me what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to brainstorm the connections and oppositions for 2 of our short stories. So you've got a few stories to choose from, but you need to pick 2 of them. Then I need to plan and outline these ideas into a solid essay structure. Now, just to remember, we're working with a 5-paragraph essay, so we have an introduction paragraph, 3 main body paragraphs, each of which is going to look into different aspects of the 2 stories that we've selected. So we're using our BATS framework. Now, just a reminder, the BATS framework stands for Basic Literary Elements, or Beta Window, Advanced Literary Elements, or Alpha Window, Thematic Literary Elements, or Theta Window, and then Supplemental Literary Elements, or our Sigma Window. So we're using that as a lens, as a multifaceted lens, a 4-faceted lens to look into the stories that we've read. So then we're going to create a powerful hook and thesis statement, and then we're going to write the draft of our essay step by step. Now, one of the success skills that I promote for all of my classes is that when you're faced with a big assignment like an essay or a research paper, you should not try to tackle the entire project in one go. You should break it into smaller segments, which makes it easier to succeed at completing the entire project. So I've done one of my writing sessions yesterday. Now this is my first editing session. So always you kind of pair those 2 processes together. Write your draft, edit it, and I find that quite often you can even do a writing session and give yourself that rest time, that vital soak time, walk away from the project and come back with fresh eyes. Then you reread what you've done, and I really like the process of reading it out loud because this helps me to find errors, and it also gives me a chance to kind of put myself in the role of the audience and think, how does my writing come off? Is it telling the things I want to tell? Is it in the right voice? Can I make it shorter, stronger? Can I include more sentence variety? So these questions are kind of part of my process when I move into the editing space. Okay, so as I mentioned, yesterday I started, and as you can see, I actually completed the introduction, which we're looking at now. And every introduction has 3 parts, right? We have our hook sentence. Then we have, you can see I've indicated them here on the left-hand margin. Then we have our background section, which is 3 to 5 sentences long. And your background kind of sets the tone or gives some background, frames the ideas, frames what you're going to talk about without giving away your best ammunition yet. And then we have the vital thesis statement. So the thesis is the heartbeat of your essay. It tells exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to prove it. So we have our purpose. That's our first half of the thesis. I call it the purpose punch. And then we have our guiding list. And that actually sets up how you're going to prove your purpose. And that guiding list piece will then become the topics for each of our supporting main body paragraphs. Okay, so I'm going to read out loud. So a reminder, when we go through our hook process, there are 3 strong methods that can build out hooks. We can use a compelling question. We can try to write a strong literary image, metaphor, or simile that is related to the topic we're discussing. Or we can use a powerful statement to set up our approach. Okay. Sorry, we had a little space heater going there. It's a chilly day here in my home, and I like to use space heaters to supplement how I operate my home environment, but I just realized that might be distracting. Okay, so let's take a look. So I've given each one of these methods a try, and I really recommend drafting at least 3 or 4 hooks just to warm up your writing brain, if you want to call it that. But also, you're gonna see which one of these kind of rings true with you. So hook one: how can storytelling help to heal the wounds of our nation? It's a question. Hopefully, it's compelling. Hook two: like the binding twines of a woven hoop of sacred grasses, stories weave the threads of our lives together. Semicolon. They connect the authors to their audiences and have the potential to knit the wounds of multi-generational trauma through honest telling and open-hearted receiving. Okay, so you can kind of see what I've done. I've gone from a little bit more of a basic approach, and I've kind of expanded it and given more to it, but I've used a simile, like the binding twines of a woven hoop of sacred grasses. Yeah, so that's a comparison, an indirect comparison. And I'm comparing stories to a hoop of sacred grasses, which to me is relevant based on our course concepts. Okay, good. And then let's look at our third option here. Short stories reveal the truth of our nation's past and present. All Canadians can learn from them to move forwards with reconciliation. So there's another version. It's kind of a statement, and I like number two the best. So that's going to become my hook in my essay. Now let's look at the background section. Now remember, this should be 3 to 5 sentences long, and we're giving a little bit more background information. We're setting the scene, if you would, providing a framework, the background parameters, without giving away our best ammunition yet. Through the Indigenous learning principles that are central in this course, readers can frame the value of short stories as a bridge to connect the lenses promoted by the two-eyed seeing method described by Elder Albert Marshall. Okay, good. Now, if I was editing this and I was giving advice to the writer, I might say, yes, that's quite a long sentence. Maybe we can revise that. So if there's a section that you think should be revised, we could just highlight it in yellow and think about it. We don't have to just dive straight in. We can soak on that for a second. Let's look at the rest of the background. Additionally, digging deeply into the leveled windows of the literary components of each story will reveal trends and patterns of how authors develop these points of wisdom. Deep analyses with an E, that's the plural form of the word analysis, with an I, which is singular. So deep analyses like these require an organized reading and note-taking process, and active reading notes are the method that best discover the insights delivered in stories. Okay, so it's good. The author has done a few things. Established that we're using our Indigenous learning principles to guide us, making a connection to the two-eyed seeing method promoted by Elder Marshall, and also setting up the fact that we're using active reading notes as our kind of engagement and gathering process while we read. So everything looks good here. I'm still kind of soaking on this idea. How can I upgrade it? So then we'll look at our thesis. Now with a thesis, I recommend putting a formula at the top. So I've used starter E, comma, C1, semicolon, humtatania, miwanasia, comma, C2, comma, including, and then our list. So we've got our punch and then our list. Purpose punch, guiding list. This will be the heartbeat of our essay. Thus, Daimaline's After a While and Finlayson's The Legend of Old Mossy. So you'll note that when I have these story names, our short story names, we put them in italics to indicate this is the title of the story. And this is relevant because in a story like Old Mossy, we have two things going on there. The title of the story, but also the name of the character. So how can we differentiate? Well, by italicizing, and to do that, you grab the section that you want to change and you go up here. And you notice if I click it, that it goes to normal text. It's kind of not shifted, not kind of slanted to the left. And then if we click the italics button here, it'll shift it and it slants it to the left. And that's a way of indicating I'm telling you this is the title of the story. Okay, so Finlayson's The Legend of Old Mossy will be delved to show how literature grows learning. Okay, that's a pretty clear point. Literature creates learning. That's what the author of this essay is trying to prove. Second half of our punch, semicolon, moreover, comma. Moreover, that's one of our conjunctive adverbs of the Humtatinia family that we use in our academic sentences to explain relationships between ideas. Moreover, the analysis process will utilize the negotiated Batts literary paradigm to provide 3 layers of proof. Okay, so very clearly I'm saying I'm going to try to look at these 2 stories and show how literature has improved my learning as a reader. And then also, I will explain that I'm going to use a specific analysis tool, and I'm going to look at developing my view into the stories and what they've taught me through these Batts windows. And then here's my list coming. You can see it's indicated by the colon. Characters and conflicts, so those are both on the beta level. Metaphors and similes, that's on the alpha level. And themes and truth, balanced by insightful ironies. So you can predict that my first main body paragraph will look at the characters and the conflicts. Second main body paragraph will investigate metaphors and similes. And the third main body paragraph will be looking at truth, this theme of truth, and insightful ironies. So hopefully I have enough evidence from my reading of the stories to support those ideas. So you can see that we've got 43 words for the hook, 89 words for the background, and 51 words for the thesis. That's 183 words total. And if you go back up on this data tracker, you'll see that it does give a guideline to the word count. And we're very close to high tide mark there. We're just above it by a few words. So that's perfect. My introduction is complete and strong. And if you go down to the bottom of the document, you could actually then take your sentences and copy and paste them down below to build out this kind of actual finished draft of what your story will look like, what your essay will look like. Excellent. I'll do another video about main body paragraph 1.